everyone. I would like to start off by telling you that every barrel of oil contains 42 gallons of raw oil, and the reason I'm telling you this is because every single day America imports 12,224,000 barrels of oil, and our overall consumption is 20,680,000 per day. And so 60% of the oil we are currently using is all imported. And China being the second largest consumer, we're currently using 3 times the amount of what they're using. Now, with that being said, alternative fuel is a very big issue in today's times. America is currently spending many resources, money, and time on looking for an answer for this. So, with that being said, I think it's very important that many people understand alternative fuel. Today I will be talking to you about the 3 main types and most logical of the alternative fuels. First off, I would like to explain what ethanol is. Now, you might be wondering what ethanol exactly is. A professional writer for the past 20 years named Larry West stated that ethanol is basically an alcohol-based fuel that is normally mixed with gasoline to produce higher octane levels and give fewer harmful emissions. Ethanol is basically made by fermenting corn, wheat, or barley, all of which are produced in America, which would stimulate our economy and help our farmers, which would also mean less foreign dependency on oil. The U.S. Department of Energy states that the use of ethanol will increase energy security as well as us being able to control the price due to the fact that it is something we do grow here, which means we won't be the subject to price changes or supply disruption that comes with the importation of goods. When in liquid state, ethanol is completely non-harmful to the environment. There was a case that 3.2 million gallons of it was released into the ocean off the Virginia coast, and within hours the United States Coast Guard had declared that there was no immediate threat to marine life or human life in that area. When it's burned, it gives off less carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide than our current gas, which means it's more green. But recently, a Time writer named Brian Walsh had stated that it's not the most greenest alternative fuel out there, as many of us think. And to make enough wheat, corn, and barley to use ethanol, we would have to destroy the rest of our forests and use all of our free land for farming. And the biggest downside to this is it requires more energy to produce it than the energy we get out of it. The next fuel that I would like to talk to you about is possibly the most widely known of all the alternative fuels. It would be electricity. Now, many people think electric cars are something that we've just thought of recently, which is not the case. In 1900, 25% of all vehicles that were on the road at that time were electric. And it wasn't until Henry Ford produced his Model T in 1908 that we completely converted over to gasoline-powered cars. Now, Frank Clegan, the executive VP of production for Chrysler, has stated that Dodge, Jeep, and Chrysler all plan on having some amount of electric cars on the market by 2010. And he states that he also suspects that over 50% of the auto industry will be electric by 2020. The car itself gives absolutely no tailpipe emission. It's also cheaper. I'm going to give you a quick example of that. If a car is getting around 25 miles per gallon, and say gas is $3 a gallon, a gasoline-powered car would be getting about 12 cents per mile, versus an electric car you'd be getting about 3 to 5 cents a mile. And recharging is very simple. It's easy as plugging it into a power supply. And Shai Agassi, the owner of Better Place, has recently stated that they're faster and cheaper than any type of hybrid that's currently on the market. To give you a brief summary of who Shai Agassi is and his company, he made his company in hopes to jumpstart the auto electric industry by making not only the cars, but he plans on making special highways for them and the recharging stations. So his company is going to be producing everything we could possibly need for an electric car. The only downfall to electric cars is they are electric. They do have to be recharged eventually, so it's not as good for long distance travel. And the last main point I would like to talk to you all about is something we don't think about when we think about alternative fuel. That would be hydrogen. Now, hydrogen is the most abundant element in the entire universe, which means this could be a very good alternative fuel source. But currently, the fueleconomy.gov states that it's currently too expensive to produce, and there's only a handful of locations that allow the selling of it, most of which are in California. On top of the fuel itself being too expensive, the vehicles are also far above what average consumers can afford right now. And due to the fact that hydrogen gets less energy per volume than current gasoline, it would mean we would have to store more of it, meaning we could barely be able to get 200 miles to a tank on hydrogen. There are benefits to it though. With hydrogen, the only emission you will be getting is H2O, which means it's water. There's no harm to the environment, and the potential market for hydrogen is enormous, and America stands to make a lot of money off this. Now, to briefly summarize what I've talked to you about. Ethanol is good for the economy, it's environmentally safe, it's made by fermenting corn, barley, and wheat. Electricity gives off no tailpipe emissions, recharging is easy, and it's less than half the price of gasoline. Hydrogen is the most abundant element out there. It gives almost no greenhouse gases, can help the economy, but it's not viable at this time. With my speech, I hope you all understand why we need to start using alternative fuels and what we stand to gain from using them. Thank you.